What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Been a couple weeks, but
only 1 week. We only missed 1 week of recording, but it feels like forever.
It feels like 2 weeks. Damn,
Yeah.
dude, I could have swore that it's been 2 weeks since that we released an episode, but I guess it has only been 1 week.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, as always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
boy, Jake Mother Effing Bulls on the mic 1-2.
And guys, we are going to be continuing our series where we go over the draft. I know that, OTA's mini camp is officially in the book, mandatory mini camp, training camp coming up in August, or is it August? July 25th. I think it's July 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So
soon.
Yeah, a couple weeks away, maybe a little bit over a month. So it'll be good. In the interim, we're going to finish our series where we go division by division, grade the 2023 NFL draft, give our thoughts and opinions on the players. This series is definitely taking a while, but it's some content that we get to talk about, and Jake and I both enjoy it.
What else are we going to talk about?
Exactly. We got to provide some kind of content during the roll of the off season before things start picking up, before the actual season begins. Guys, I don't even have to say it, but comment. You can follow us right here because we have the text down there. Jake, do you have anything to add before we get going?
Yeah, there are a couple of big news-worthy headlines that we have not got to talk about that I want to start the show off with. First one being Dalvin Cook being released. I know we don't have a background for him, but you guys all know who Dalvin Cook is. Beast running back for the Vikings. He was released, and they save, I forget how much money they save. I think it was like $9 million or something like that. So, not like a whole lot, but it's still, $9 million. What do you think? What do you think of this move? Do you think it's a good move?
I do. To a certain degree, I think that the running back market, running backs just aren't getting paid what they used to. The positions kind of become inept in certain aspects of the financial market. But Dalvin Cook's still a really good running back. He's kind of been on the decline, I think, a little bit. He is getting up there in age. He usually has his middle of the season injury, shoulder separates or whatever. Then he turns into Bionic Man, just stiff arms everyone. I think that he's still one of the top running backs in the league. I wouldn't say he's top 5 by any means, but if you can get him for a decently cost-effective price, I think that he'd be worth it. And with where the running back market is currently, I don't think that you're going to have to spend a whole lot, especially if he does want to play. He can keep holding out, wait till the team, the right team comes along to give him what he's looking for in his contract extension. But I think Alexander Mattison will do a good job filling in his spot. They run very similarly, so I don't think that they're going to miss too much for the Minnesota Vikings. I think that Alexander Mattison will do a good job. I don't think he's as good as Dalvin Cook, but I'd say he's pretty close. So I think it's a good move. Save a little bit of cap space, move to someone younger. So why not?
Yeah. I don't hate the move. It's just crazy. Dalvin Cook's been on the Vikings. He's been the Vikings for years now, and it's just crazy. But I've heard some rumors of him going to possibly the Miami Dolphins, and
I've heard those rumors too.
I think that would be freaking awesome, dude. I think they would have
the Miami Dolphins
one of the best running back rooms.
Oh yeah. And it's just their offense in general, just speed, just talent loaded at the wide receivers, running back positions. Tua's good when he's out there now. It'd be a scary offense, especially in Mike McDaniel's scheme. God, it would just be a force.
Yeah, it would be very, very interesting. And this other piece of news, it's not really football related. It is more video game related. If you guys don't know, Josh Allen gets to grace the cover of this year's
Madden
video game, Madden 24, and there's been some mixed opinions on this, and I want to get your opinion. What do you think? It's really not important, but it's football drama. So what do you think of Josh Allen gracing the cover of this year's Madden or this next Madden?
Well, It's interesting. I hope that the curse doesn't return because I really want the Buffalo Bills to do well this year. And it kind of seems like Patrick Mahomes broke the curse because I think they won the Super Bowl the year that he was on the cover.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm pretty indifferent about it. I think Josh Allen deserves to be on the cover. He is a great quarterback.
You do? Okay.
I do. I think there is a lot of skepticism. There are other players who are worthy of being up there. Do you have one in particular that you think deserves to be up there more?
Well, first off, I don't hate Josh Allen. I am a big fan of Josh Allen. I like the way he plays, but usually the Madden cover is reserved for someone who just balled out, the last year, and you're like the previous MVP or something like that. They can't give it to Patrick Mahomes for the third freaking time. So I understand why they didn't do that. But, I could have seen, Justin Jefferson going on this. I could have seen possibly Jalen Hurts, even though he didn't win the MVP either. I think he had a better season than Josh Allen. I think they should have even gone defense. Maybe put the defensive player of the year on there. I'm not trying to hate on Josh. He is a beast. He's top quarterback in the league. But, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He didn't win the MVP. And it was a little bit of a letdown last year. So I maybe I'm just being a little ticky tack on this, but I just think maybe there could have been some other routes they could have gone. I mean, Jim Brown just died. They could have put him on the cover. I
think that would have been a good route to go as well, honoring a legend, because Jim Brown was one of the best players to ever play in the NFL.
And they just did it with, honoring Madden when he died last year. So they could have easily done Jim Brown.
Didn't they split it, though, on the cover with Madden? Didn't they do it with him and, like, Tom Brady or something? Or am I tripping? Was it Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes that one year?
Yeah.
There was one year they had two people on the cover.
Yeah, that was the GOAT edition or whatever. So they did a Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. And then a couple years before that, Patrick Mahomes was on it.
I think that any route you take is better than having two players on the cover. That's just my personal opinion. I think if you're going to be on the cover of Madden, it should be one specific player who gets the honor. That's just my opinion, though.
But I think they should have done defense or a legend. I don't know. I'm not like hating on Josh. I just think they could have gone a completely different route. But enough of that. Let's get back to what this episode is really about. The NFC South. It's all good, Dane.
Hey,
I don't know if we mentioned.
It's been a little bit since we've done this. We're getting back into it. Give me a sec. Graphics guy needs to get his shit together.
Yes, sir. So yes, I don't know if we did mention it. I don't think we did, but at the beginning of this episode,
we're covering the NFC South.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just think since it was the background, just read the fucking bottom. Jake's got it right there.
You guys can read. Title. You guys. Hopefully you're not listening to this and just figuring out what this episode is going to be about. But we are going to cover the NFC South draft grades. That includes the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bucks. And, let's just get right into it, Dane. Let's start off with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, let's do it.
So I am going to show you guys some graphics from PFF. This is not my work, but I hope you guys looking at it as well. So let's start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Their first, pick was Bijan Robinson. Take it away, Dane.
Okay, Bijan was easily my favorite running back in this year's draft. He's my favorite running back in the last 5 years. I will say that. I think that he is the most versatile back that I've seen. Very similar to Saquon running style, I think, power, elusiveness, he's shifty for his size, which is great. And he's great at the receiving game as well. He's faster than he looks. He ran in the 4.4s. I don't think that he has the elite endurance that some of the other running backs may have, such as like Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard just seems like a track guy out there. He just seems like he can run all day. I will say Bijan is good in the burst game, and he's going to get you like the 30-40 yards. Like I don't think that that's a problem. I think he can be tracked down if like you're doing an 80-yard run, breaking off one of the most explosive plays you can get as a running back. But dude, he's a legend. He had one of the best collegiate performances I've ever seen from a running back position since I've watched college football. I love watching him play. I think that he's going to be an immediate impact. I think that he's going to be fantasy relevant. I think that he's everything that you want from a football player. However, like Saquon, I think he was drafted too early. I understand the direction that the Falcons were going, and he probably would have been scooped up in the top 10. Like, let's be realistic. I'm sure that someone else probably would have scooped him up. I can't hate on it too much. Running backs are still used in this league. They're just not a like focal point anymore, I think. So it's hit or miss for me, like the positional value. But I think that this is a home run pick because he's going to be an immediate impact player. And I think it's only going to improve this offense. So I like the pick a lot overall.
I love this pick for the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons were the number one running team last year. And, they got the best running back in this year's draft and probably the best running back, potentially in, the last several drafts. If that's what they want to do, especially if they don't really know what they have with Desmond Ridder, I love this pick because now they can just give the ball to him, 9 plays out of 10 or whatever you want to say. And, they don't have to lean on Desmond Ridder. I kind of see like a Zeke scenario. When Zeke came into the league, he just took the league by storm because the Cowboys just ran him to the ground. I mean, he's kind of paying for it now, but I definitely can see, this young man being the workhorse of this team, being the backbone, and he can even go out wide and catch passes. So I love this pick. And like you said, like he wasn't gonna go, sorry Dane, but he was gonna drop to the Chargers. He was gonna go top 15, if not top 10. And they got him at what, 8. So I think it was, I don't know. We'll see if it, reaches. No, if it how do I say this, Dane? If it matches the draft capital or whatever. But
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I hope the folks listening know what I'm saying. But I think he has a good shot at being offensive rookie of the year. So I love this pick.
Yeah, dude, there is not much to like about, or not much to hate about Bijan Robinson. He is a generational talent at the running back position, in my opinion. So good on the Falcons. Plus, pairing him with Tyler Algier, that's just going to make this running duo just so deadly.
Yep. All right, next pick, we got Syracuse guard Matthew Bergeron.
Mm-hmm. I like this pick. I think Matthew Bergeron is going to offer a lot of versatility in the run game and in the pass game. The Atlanta Falcons offensive line hasn't been great the last several years. So I think that adding depth and, adding a possible starter, I think he probably will start for them, honestly, especially if they're drafting him in the second round. I think that this is just going to give their young possible franchise quarterback more opportunity to pass the ball. Hopefully that he can live up to the expectations. I mean, he's a big dude, 6'5", 322. I think that it's a good, solid pick. It's nothing too flashy, but it'll do what they need.
Yeah, not too flashy, but it's exactly what they want. I mean, if he can run. Unfortunately, when I watched this guy's tape, all I could see was pass blocking sets. I didn't really see a whole lot in the run game. But he has quick feet, good pop power, that initial hit. So he looks like a solid, I don't know what he's going to play, guard, probably guard. Yeah, that's pretty big boy, 322 pounds. So I like the pick, especially, if that's what the Falcons are going to do. Like, we all know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball. So I like this pick. Next pick, we have Ohio State DN Zach Harrison. And I mean, I don't know if I'm crazy, but when I was watching this dude, he looked like Julius Peppers to me. Do you remember Julius Peppers' name?
I do. I
Yeah,
don't know
he
if I
looked
saw it as much as you, but go on.
maybe not his skill set, but like his body, the way the lankiness of it. I don't know. It just looked very Julius Peppers to me. But I like. I mean, I don't know. He looked decent on Ohio or on the tapes I watched. Nothing like nothing crazy, but I think he could definitely go in on and start on the D line, or if not rotate, contribute. If I don't remember correctly, what the Falcons
Their
uh
pass rushing was terrible the last
yeah.
several
So,
years. I
yeah,
think
they
Zach
definitely
Harrison.
could use him.
Yeah, I think Zach Harrison's going to come in and contribute. I don't know what it was, but when I watched his film, not just the highlights, but like there were a couple of Ohio State games that I watched, and there were a couple in particular against like Michigan State or Michigan or other Big Ten conference games that they had, and it seems like he kind of got lost in translation for me. Like he would just be taken out of place so easily. Sometimes I feel like there are some plays where you're like, wow, like there is a flash of like there's something there, but it's too inconsistent. I didn't see it enough, especially in the run game. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it was. Like you'll see one play, he'll blow up the play immediately, and you're like, all right, there's potential. You'll see a sack, you'll see a good bend, and then other plays he just looks rigid. His feet kind of look like they're stuck. He fails to get off blockers sometimes. So I think that's why he fell to the fourth round, because he was originally supposed to be like a number one or a round one draft pick, but he fell to the fourth. And I think that's just because of the production that happened at the collegiate level his last year and a half. So I like him. I think that, he has all the intangibles that you want. Like he is huge, 272, 6'5", or whatever he is, 6'6". So
Yeah, that's what they have him listed on PFF.
yeah. So like he's got like the physical tools that you want. I think it's just putting it together. And I think that he can make an impact. So I'm excited about the pick. I'm not in love with it, but I think that it's more of like a project player that could be something great.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ooh, I really like this next pick.
I do
Clark
too.
Phillips the third out of Utah. Man, you want to talk about breaking? What do they call it? Breaking speed? Is that what they call it when they break in on a route?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So this man was just do not do the hook or the curl route on this man, because he will take it to a pick six. Take it for a pick six, at least in college. This guy was super fast. He looked like a pretty sure tackler to me. But yeah, I mean, I do like this pick. This is probably my second favorite pick out of their draft. What do you think, Dane?
I love this pick. I mean, his production at the collegiate level was great. I think the only reason he slid this far down and why there was some hesitation with a lot of teams is his size. 5'9", only 184 pounds, and it's his arm length. He has under 30-inch arms, which is pretty small. But when you watch him play, he, like you said, he breaks on routes like really quickly. He reads the route. He understands the concepts that offenses are trying to put his way. It's just, it's the size, it's the physical limitations with him, I think, is why he fell this far. He plays bigger than he is. I am a little bit concerned, though, with how he's going to be at the NFL level. I don't know if he's going to get bullied around, especially if he's going up against a taller wide receiver, because he's not the most athletic, but he's got athleticism. So if you have, like, say, a 6'2", 6'3" wide receiver who's got like a 38 to 40-inch vertical, they're going to be able to snag the ball from him because he's only got 29-inch arms and he's 5'9". So maybe he's not going to be the best against contested catchers, but he can break on some routes, especially the hook, curl, whatever. So I think that he'll be utilized in this defense for sure, and he could play bigger than he is, even at the NFL level. I'm excited. I think it's a good pick.
Same, and I forget the cornerback in Atlanta, AJ Terrell. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a beast. Maybe he can play on the other side, and they could have a nice little cornerback tandem going on. Okay, so they don't show the rest of the picks, but I'll just stop. Or actually, no, we'll just talk about them. So their next pick is DeMarco Halams. Uh, to me, this guy kind of seemed like the odd man out in Alabama, or maybe he was just kind of more of brought in for blitz packages. I don't know about you. If I'm am I out of left field here, Dane, or is that kind of
No,
what you saw with this guy?
I agree that he was kind of the odd man out in this group. I think a lot of it had to do with his athletic limitations. I don't think that he was the most athletic when it came to the bunch. I mean, if you're looking at his combine, I mean, 31-inch vertical, not great. Ran almost a 4.640, not great. 10-yard split was all right, 1.57. Broad jump was 10'1". He's 6'1", 203 pounds. So he's got like the physical build that you would want in a defensive back. But I think I think that he's a little bit limited to scheme dependency. So I think that you have to put him in certain packages that'll utilize what he's good at, utilize his strengths.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be a special teamer. And then, like I said, some certain blitz packaging. But he looked like a hard hitter, so cool. Not really a whole lot to take away from it. And then this last guy, I really have nothing to take away. There was no tape on this dude.
This is a depth piece.
Yeah, Javon Gwynn, center, or they list him as center. I thought he played guard in college. But they need offensive line. You can never go wrong with more offensive and defensive linemen. So
Jake, you know what I realized you didn't do? I know you have it on the screen, but you forgot to give the grades that PFF
I was going to do a little thing so we don't have to go back and forth, but I'm just going to give them all the grades.
Okay, there you go. We'll save. So if you guys have been watching, Jake usually would give a grade after we read the player. I kind of like this new transition that we're going for, Jake, or the new format where we do the grades all together at the end. I like it.
All right. So per PFF, they graded the Bijan Robinson as average. Pretty interesting. Matthew Bergeron as average. Zach Harrison as average. Clark Phillips III as very good. DeMarco Halams as average. And Javon Gwynn as average. So, pretty average draft, I guess you could say.
I want to say, I think the only reason they gave the Bijan Robinson an average grade is because of how high they picked him. I think that if he would have been picked in the 20s, it would have been like an excellent or like exceptional pick, whatever PFF has it at.
Yeah, but I don't get why like someone should be punished because they had an early draft pick. Like
the
if
only
that's your
thing,
dude, then get him.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I think it all ties into like the running back market and like how much running backs are getting paid, because if you pick within the top 10, you're going to be making more than the average running back or than the franchise tag. So then it kind of just throws the market all out of sorts when you draft a running back that high, which I think is why they probably marked it down a little bit.
Yeah. But overall, I would have to give their draft. There's like, looking back, there's like 3 picks I like. Actually, I kind of like their first 4 picks.
I like their first 4 picks as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably give it a B, solid B.
Yeah, I'd give it a B. And honestly, I would, if they didn't have Bijan, I would probably give it a B minus. Like I'm kind of taking out the positional value or the positional ranking where a running back should go in the draft. He was like one of my top prospects in this year's draft. So you get like a home run hitter, one of the best players in the draft, especially at his position. He is the best in the draft. So he brings it up. So I got to give it a solid B as well.
All right. And per PFF, they gave it a B plus. And NFL draft or NFL.com gave them an A minus. So that's pretty interesting. We are a little lower than
consensus.
Yep. So, but that's okay. We can have our own opinions, y'all.
Oh yeah. That's one thing that I forgot to mention. Don't get butthurt. These are just our opinions. These are our grades. Anyone can grade these players differently. We're just predicting how they're going to pan out in the NFL.
Yes, sir. Kind of said it better than myself. But we are finished with the Atlanta Falcons. We are going to move on to the Carolina Panthers.
Dude, that was clean.
Hey, boy.
When you get a solid transition.
So, yeah, the Carolina Panthers had a pretty interesting, or pretty. I kind of like their draft. They had some good players. I think they took.
There's one in
Well,
particular that I was really high on.
all right, let's freaking get into it then, Dane. Obviously, you know, the Carolina Panthers traded with the Chicago Bears, sorry, for the number one overall pick, and they got their potential quarterback of the future. Well, he is their quarterback of the future, at least for now. But they drafted Bryce Young with the number one pick, and I like the pick. I do. I think he was obviously
He is
the best.
not 6 foot. I want to say that right now. This man
Yeah.
is not 6 foot. And
Yeah.
I know everyone who watched that Twitter clip of their first like OTA practice with him behind the offensive line, that man is not 6 foot.
Dude, so they have it at 6 foot there, but then they have it at 5'10" right here. Come on, PFF, get your shit together.
Yeah, the dude's definitely, dude, he is, I think he's honestly smaller than Kyler Murray. Like overall, I think he is smaller than Kyler Murray.
We would have to do some research on that, but they are very tiny quarterbacks. But like I was saying, they've been struggling for quarterback since Cam left. They got the best quarterback in the draft. Do I think he is going to be the quarterback, that is going to be, take the Panthers to the playoff, to the Panthers to the Super Bowl, change this franchise around? I don't know, honestly. I like what he does. To be honest, I liked what he did in college. He was a beast, but he is very small. And a lot of his game was kind of, moving around the pocket, getting outside the pocket. And this is a different league. Like, this is the NFL. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to the NFL. But, I believe in taking your shots when you think you have to. And that's what the Panthers did. So I do like this pick.
I like this pick. It reminds me of when Tua got drafted. I think he's smaller than Tua. So I have the same kind of physical limitation concerns. If he gets hit by like a 330-pound defensive lineman, or if, say, for example, Nick Bosa sacks him, I'm worried that he's going to break his hip or that he's going to break a leg. And it's a genuine concern because we've seen with smaller quarterbacks, they're more prone and susceptible to injuries throughout the entirety of the NFL because it's a different beast. At the collegiate level, you're dealing with monsters, don't get me wrong, but the NFL is just like a souped up version of the SEC. Like any team in the NFL can play against Bama or Georgia, in my opinion. I think some of the professional teams might lose, but I think that it would be a competitive game. So when your worst team in the NFL is like the best team at college, it just says a lot at like the talent that you're dealing with on a daily basis. So his production was off the charts. He's accurate. He's mobile. He's not the fastest, but his pocket awareness, his pocket presence is off the charts. His production score is just impeccable. Like, he has got one of the best production scores I've seen from a collegiate quarterback. It's just the physical limitations. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's got a good arm, but he's not going to be like a pack howitzer like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. So he's going to have to play with anticipation, throw his receivers open. And with Carolina, I don't know exactly how many of those receivers are going to make his job easier at this point in time. They have talent, but it's going to take a while for the scheme and the players to work in tandem. So I like the pick overall.
Yeah. So speaking of wide receivers, that's where they went with their next pick. Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss.
This is the pick that I love.
Pick. Yeah.
This is the pick that I love.
I didn't watch too much of him, or I didn't know about too much of him before I went in, and I watched his highlights. He looks like
AJ Brown.
No, he's not. He doesn't look as big as AJ Brown to me. He looks like a bigger Debo to me. Thick, breaks tackles, and he doesn't. I don't know. I think he might be a little bit quicker than Debo, But he looks really solid to me. I think they're gonna have some fun with him. I think this is gonna automatically be Bryce Young's new favorite friend. Yeah, I mean he does a lot of stuff. Wide receiver screens. He can go deep. He can do slants. He does a lot. So I do like this pick because, like Dane said, the wide receiver room in Carolina is a little bit questionable. I mean, they got Adam Thielen, Laviska Shenault, and now Jonathan Mingo. I'd have to look at their entire roster, but not super scary. I think if you're an opposing team, but what do you think about the pick?
I love this pick. He was actually like my dark horse first round wide receiver that I think could have gone in the first round. And Steve Smith praised this kid and his work ethic. I mean, this kid is 6'2", 220 pounds, ran a 4.4 40, almost jumped a 40-inch vertical. Broad jump was almost 11 feet. 10-yard split was 1.54. He's got athleticism. He's very athletic. And if you put on his tape, when he got the ball thrown his way, he made plays, which is why I kind of agree. Maybe a bigger Debo is a better example instead of AJ Brown. But, he's got that physicality to him. He's got that dog in him. Like, he's going to fight for those extra yardages. So that's what I really respect about his game. And he can make some really remarkable one-handed catches or remarkable catches in general. He does have a little bit of a dropping issue, which is crazy to think about because you see the plays that he makes where he makes that one-handed catch or a catch where he mosses someone. It's very bizarre, but I think you're banking on the upside of him, and I think there's a ton of upside. So I think it's a great pick. I love this pick. Jonathan Mingo was I was hoping the Chargers could have gotten him, but I digress.
They got, what's his name again? I'm just kidding.
Quinn Johnson.
Yes. So it's funny because his player comp is Laviska Shenault, and he is on the Carolina Panthers. Just I mentioned the Panthers wide receivers. They have Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and Terrace Marshall. And Laviska Shenault. So, and then a couple other, wide receivers here and there, but not super imposing. They're not the Bengals, So, but I do like this. I think he automatically helps them out in the passing game. Next pick, DJ Johnson, one of your boys from Oregon. They don't even have him out on here, so we don't have to show him. But DJ Johnson, what do you have to say to him? There wasn't a whole lot of tape on him, but he looks like a solid defensive lineman. Looks like he can disrupt some stuff. There wasn't a whole lot on him for me to have a super, opinionated opinion on him. But what do you have to say? You watch him more than me.
Yeah, DJ Johnson, he is athletic. I will say that. I mean, for his size, he's I think 6'4" in the 250s, 240s, maybe 260s. I would say around 240 to 260. You might want to fact check me on that, Jake. He's a pretty decent sized guy, and he ran in the 4.4s. He is athletic. The one thing that I will say is this man does not have much bend like you want to see on a lot of edge rushers. He does seem to have a pretty decently high motor. You can utilize him as a good run defender. I think that that's where you saw a lot of his shine. It was the pass sets that I don't think that he won as many reps as you would like him to. But I think it's a developmental project piece, and I think that he'll pan out after a year or two. That's what I would project him at, a year or two. Especially with Carolina, they have a pretty solid defense, so I'm sure that they'll coach him up.
What did you guess his weight and height were?
I said between 240 to 260.
What about height?
6'4", I think I said.
All right, yeah, pretty close. He's 6'4", 260.
Okay, so he's on the higher side of things. So I was, yeah.
He ran a pretty good 40, 4.49.
Yeah.
And a 1.5
he's athletic.
10-yard split. So he is very athletic. 28 reps on the bench press. So nice. Yeah, I mean, pretty I didn't hate what I saw, to be honest. Like it just wasn't a whole lot of tape. But on to the next. Next pick, North Carolina State guard Chandler Zavala out of I already said that, North Carolina. So
I didn't see too much tape on him.
Yeah.
I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to go back, and we watched so many players. I don't remember a whole lot that stood out to me. But I can hate the pick. I'm all about taking offensive linemen. I mean, PFF has them as their third ranked guard, so maybe that's something.
I'll take it. I'll take PFF's word for this. I mean, North Carolina State's produced some pretty decent offensive linemen, especially with Ike Ekwonu from last year, like my favorite tackle, especially in the run game. And Chandler Zavala, I saw some of North Carolina State's games, and their offensive line looked decent. I just wish that I could pinpoint a specific play so I knew that what his play strengths and weaknesses were. So I can't really talk about it too much, unfortunately.
Well, let's look at the pros and cons. Flies out of his stance on wide runs, very agile, under control in pass sets, independent hand usage and pass protection. Those are the pros. Cons, establishing initial engagement to lock in his hands, relatively inexperienced. A lot of full slides that protected him in passing game. So maybe it was a product of, the pass protection game that they were using, but, I'm sure the Panthers know that. All right, let's get into the last pick, right? Last pick? Yeah.
Yes.
Not very many.
Pick. I love it. It'll actually shorten our episode, hopefully.
Yes. We got Jamie Robinson out of Florida State. I like this pick. He was a corner or safety. He was a safety.
He's a defensive back. I think that you can use him. I think he mostly played safety, but I think that you could use him as a cornerback. The only thing that I'd worry about him is you'd probably want him more in the slot because he's a little bit bigger and he's a little bit slower.
I forget if it was this.
Safety.
I forget if he was the one I was looking at, but he looked like a turnover machine if it was him.
Yeah, his ball production was really good, actually.
All right. So, they bolster up that defense. So I like it. All right. So, sorry, I have to go back. So for the PFF, they graded the Bryce Young as elite. Obviously, he was the number one of number ones in this draft. Jonathan Mingo, average, very interesting.
I disagree with that one entirely. I think it's just
I do as well.
Production.
I think that he should have been at least above average. DJ Johnson, below average. Chandler Zavala, very good. And Jamie Robinson, good. So, what did I just do? Oops, sorry about that. Looking at their draft right now, I think it's decent. They only had 5 picks, so
yeah,
it's hard to do a whole lot. But they got a quarterback, they got a threat in the passing game, and they got some defensive players. So overall, I'd probably have to give it a B-.
That's where I was leaning towards as well, because I don't think that I think that you're adding some key positions or positional value with like the quarterback and then the wide receiver. Like those are premium positions that you want to address.
Yeah. The rest
I
is
love
just
Jonathan Mingo. Yeah, exactly. I love Jonathan Mingo. I think Bryce Young is a to be determined player, even though his performance in college was elite. I want to see a transition to the NFL, because how many times have we seen a college quarterback that doesn't pan out?
Exactly.
All the time. So
exactly. That's why I want to say he's gonna. I mean, I want to have faith in all these players. I don't want to talk, bad about anybody. I just, college and pros is a completely different thing. So I'm rooting for the guy, obviously, even though he's an Alabama boy, but he's also a California native. So got to root for the California natives. So we gave it a B minus. We both gave him a B minus. And PFF graded them a B plus, and NFL gave them a B. So we're both lower than
A little bit lower,
both
yeah.
NFL and PFF. All right, Dane. What's the next team we got? Hold
All
on.
right.
Let me get this run right. All right. What's the next team we got, Dane?
All right, guys. So we're going to be moving on to the New Orleans Saints. And, I think the Saints actually had a really good draft. Like,
So do I.
I really like some of their players. And I know that there's one in particular that I know you can talk a little bit more about than me. But starting
Yes,
off with the
sir.
New Orleans Saints, I like their draft top to bottom. I'm going to be honest. And this is kind of a little sneak peek, but their first pick, Brian Breesy, who was the former number one high school prospect that came out. And this dude, if you watch his high school tape, was just a fucking man amongst boys. He would just toss people around left and right. When he got to the collegiate career, he dealt with injuries, and he also dealt with his sister passing of cancer, which I think in turn affected his performance and his play. I don't think anyone could have a good season if you have a family member die, personally. But he's got the physical tools that you want. If he is healthy, I think this man will be a beast amongst the defensive linemen. And you didn't necessarily see him transition into like an elite prospect that you would hope Clemson would produce with like his pass rushing arsenal, but he's still a beast when it comes to the run game. And in the pass game, he can still be, guards, centers. He can even be utilized on tackle. So I like this pick a lot. I think Brian Breesy's got a lot to prove in the NFL, and if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Dude, the way you said he's got a lot to prove in the NFL is perfectly said. I think he's a beast, and I think he was overlooked a little bit. I think he is a solid defensive lineman. He is very quick for how big he is.
Yeah.
And honestly, like their first two picks are just so New Orleans Saints to me. Like
Yep.
I feel like Breesy and spoiler alert, Foskey just fit into the New Orleans Saints defense.
And I
so
love that they
well.
double dipped at the defensive line.
So do I. I really like this guy. I'm right there with you. I just hope oh, sorry about that, guys. I just hope none of the off-field stuff kind of hinders him. I hope he can get through it and just persevere and be an awesome NFL player. But their next player that they picked, Notre Dame edge, my boy, Isaiah Foskey, the freaking leader in sacks in Notre Dame history, which is freaking crazy, dude. I've seen this guy, I watch every Notre Dame game. I've seen him since he's been, I think he's only a junior. Well, I've seen him for the last several years, and he is a beast, honestly. Like, I think I love this dude. Like, honestly, like he's not lean. He's just a thick boy. Like, if I could say it perfectly, like I think of thick people, like I think of Debo. I keep coming back to Debo because Debo's like a thick boy, and Isaiah Foskey is thick, and he's pretty fast off the line. I really not a whole lot to hate from him. He's a captain. He played at Notre Dame. That's a lot.
Captain in Notre Dame says a lot about your character and off the field as well, plus your leadership ability.
Yeah, and they have Cam Jordan. Both these players have Cam Jordan to learn behind. I think Cam Jordan is an excellent player, an excellent human being, and I think they're just going to soak up everything they have from him, and just learn and make this defense good, because the Saints defense was not terrible last year, and I think these guys are just going to help improve it, honestly. And they play in a weak division, so yeah.
I agree. I loved Isaiah Foskey, and you and I talked about it before we started covering the draft about where we thought Isaiah was going to go, whether it was going to be first round, second round, and I told you, like, I would have loved for him to have gone on to the Chargers because learning behind Joey Bosa, learning behind Khalil Mack, I think he plays a little bit more like Khalil Mack than Joey because I think that he plays with more power. He's not the most elite bend in college or at his position, but this dude has a high motor. He is sideline to sideline, never gives up on the play, great against the run. And, like you said, he had the most sacks in Notre Dame history. That's impressive. So there's not much to dislike about him. He's got the physical tools, the size. I think that he's got the intelligence to diagnose plays as well. You'll see him like read out screens really well, which I think is a strength to his game. And, he'll sit under it. And yeah, I think double dipping at the defensive line for the New Orleans Saints is a great way to start the draft, in my opinion.
I do too. Next player they drafted, Kendre Miller out of TCU.
I love this pick. I love this pick.
I like this pick a lot. Reminds me of, dare I say, Alvin Kamara.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know if he's as fast as Alvin Kamara, but I don't know if Alvin Kamara had an off year last. I mean, he definitely did have an off year. I don't want to say he's over the hill. I still want to believe that Alvin Kamara has, a lot left to offer. But, I think, Alvin Kamara is the perfect running back to learn from for Kendre Miller. They play similar. They have, good breakaway speed. I didn't really see a whole lot of screen work for Kendre Miller. Maybe it was just the videos I was looking at. But yeah, I do like this pick. And he's pretty big, actually. I think he might be bigger than Alvin Kamara. So
I think he is bigger
good.
than Alvin Kamara. And I think you touched on it. He's got elite burst. Like, he's not like the 80-yard touchdown type of guy, but he's like I'm going to give you the best 30, 20 yards you've seen. And he's got like that elusive one-step cut, and he just breaks away. He's got a good stiff arm. You can utilize him in the passing game. I don't think that it's his biggest strength, but he was good as a gap runner. Like, he ran between the guards and tackles very well. And I think that if you get him in the zone, he's going to make it work as well. I loved watching this man play, and he's hard to bring down. Like, it is hard to solo tackle this man. He breaks and sheds tackles very well. So I think that he's got like the balance, kind of like an Alvin Kamara. It's very hard to bring him down because he's got good balance. You hit him and he can bend backwards, but then he'll utilize his legs and his strength to plant off of the opposite foot and then go. So I really enjoyed watching him play for TCU. I think that he's not an elite, but I think he's a very good running back.
I also think they've been looking for a new running back to kind of take that Mark Ingram role. Alvin Kamara, he's a smaller dude, and like, he can do everything. Like, he is a monster when he's on fire, but I don't know if he thrives being the bell cow. I think he thrives with, getting 2 plays in the down or whatever. So I like this pick a lot. Next pick, is it the quarterback? No.
No, we have I think it should be Nick Saldiveri.
Yeah.
The guard, right?
Yeah, offensive guard out of Old Dominion. Sorry, I'm showing Jake Hayner right now. That's their next pick. But let me think back. Old Dominion. I believe this was one of the offensive linemen I did like watching when I was watching all the tape because he was violent. He was getting lots of pancakes, and that's what I like. So I like the pick. If you're violent and you're an offensive lineman, I'm going to like you more than, just, regular linemen. So I like it.
Yeah, he played tackle at the collegiate level for Old Dominion, I think, because he is 6'6", 318 pounds. He's got above 32-inch arms. He's at 33. Hands are 10 and a quarter. He's an athletic guy for his size. I mean, he ran a 5'2", 40, not the best, but vertical jump 31 inches, 10-yard split 1.8, broad jump 9'3". For his size and being a tackle, that's pretty decent. The only thing that I'm concerned about with him is the level of competition that Old Dominion plays at. So I think it's more of like a project player, a good depth and rotational piece for the time being, and hopefully he can transition into playing in the NFL.
All All right, next pick, we got Fresno State quarterback Jake Haener, as you can see on the screen that you've been looking at if you are watching this. First thing, he played at Fresno, so less competition. But from what I saw, he was pretty accurate on the deep ball. That's really the most I can say about him. And I don't think he's going to really get a chance to start. They just signed whatchamacallit. Dude from the David Carr.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Yo, speaking of David Carr, did you see that video of him going against Dak Prescott in the accuracy drill, like on a talk show?
Bro.
Did you see that?
I did.
Dude,
I did.
That is embarrassing for Dak Prescott, by the way.
Dude, I always feel sorry to, go off topic, but I always feel bad about David Carr because he went to the Texans, an expansion team.
Ruined his career.
And he could I honestly think he could have been really good if he went to some decent team, but it wasn't written in the stars. But just like with Jake Haener, I don't think he's going to get much of a shot to play. He's going to be backing up Carr, and I think Ian Book is there still. So, I'm always rooting for my Notre Dame boys. So I hope if anything happens to Carr, Ian Book gets a good shot. But I'll just say he's got a pretty accurate big arm.
Yeah, I think having Jake Haener as a backup is a good signing because you never know what's going to happen in the NFL, like when your starting quarterback goes down. As Jake knows, being a 49er fan, he went through 3 quarterbacks. So four, excuse me. So it is good to have depth. And Haener actually, he had some good games. And I know that because he played Oregon and he looked pretty decent. He's accurate. Like Jake said, he's got a decent deep ball. He can get out of the pocket as well. So I think it's a good signing. I honestly think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I don't mind it. If last year told us anything, is you're only as good as your third string quarterback.
Yeah.
But is this the next pick? Okay, so damn, they don't have him on
Jordan Howden.
Yeah, dude, I like this guy.
I do too.
He is. I mean, he played in Minnesota, so again, lesser competition, but he looked like the best player on that defense. Constant interceptions from his tape. Yeah, I like this pick a lot. Look out for this guy. The Saints really got some good defensive players, I believe.
Yeah, I think Howden plays with his hair on fire. I think that he can be a little bit too much where he takes himself out of play sometimes, but I think that it's just kind of learning to see the game a little bit better because he's got the physical tools. Like this man will hit you. Like he'll get some good pass breakups. He'll be in position, but then sometimes he's out of position. I think it's just the inconsistency, but you're getting him in the later round, and the Saints are typically a good defensive team. So I think that they'll coach him up, and I think that he'll be a special teams player, but I think he could actually see rotational packages for him in their defense.
Is the Honey Badger still on the Saints?
I think so.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
I'll look it up right now and then go ahead and move on to the next player.
Shut up, Dane. All right, this next player, we got A.T. Perry. To be honest, I was watching this guy and I totally forgot that his quarterback was Sam Hartman, who just transferred over to Notre Dame. So I was kind of, watching Sam Hartman a little bit. But no, A.T. Perry looks pretty solid as a wide receiver. I think he's going to, a pretty good, decent, I guess, wide receiver room. I mean, what do you think of the wide receiver room in the Saints? I mean, we have Michael Thomas, who just cannot get on the field. And then you got Chris Olave, who had a pretty good rookie year. And then you got Traquan Smith, and that's really about it of notable names. So I think this guy can come in and be a good third, maybe a second, but he's a deep threat, and Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
I actually really think A.T. Perry is undervalued. I don't think that he's like an elite breakaway speed guy, but he is a contested catch monster. He can break some tackles too for the size. I mean, he's 6'5", 205. He's pretty decent with his route running. He's not going to be a burner. He's not going to be an elite speed guy, but he reminds me of kind of like a poor man's Michael Williams. Mike Williams. You know, he can get up there. He's got hops and he's got good hands. Like he is, I think, underrated in my opinion. I think that this is good positional value for him, or good value draft wise, like where he was drafted.
All right. So that is the Saints draft. Oh, you know what? I don't think I ever did the whatever. But they graded Brian Bracey as average, Isaiah Foskey as average, Kendry Miller as average, Nick Saldiveri as average, Jake Hayner as average, and Jordan Howden as average, and A.T. Perry as very good. Ah, gotcha. So thinking about, I think they might have. I think I like their drafts better than the Falcons and Panthers, so I'm gonna have to give them a B plus. I like the first 3 picks a lot. I don't mind the Jake Hayner pick, solid depth piece. I really like the Jordan Howden pick, and I really like the A.T. Perry pick. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a B plus.
I'm actually even higher. I'm going A minus.
Really?
The reason why is I think those first 2 picks are just so impactful. Like, I think they're going to make an immediate impact for this defense. Like, they're going to have rotational depth on the defensive line. And that's always been one of the Saints' strengths is their defense and their defensive line. So I really like those 2 picks. I think that, if Alvin Kamara misses time because of the allegations and like his charges and all that stuff, Kendry Miller, I think, is actually going to win the running back spot. So that makes
me love that pick even more. I totally forgot about that. Holy crap.
Yeah, wow. So I think Kendry Miller, like those are 3 impactful, like you literally drafted 3 positions that are going to really impact your team at the start of the season, in my opinion. So a lot of these players, they draft in their rotation or their projects. I think these guys are going to see the field as soon as, training camp's over. So
hell yeah.
I love this draft. Yeah. A minus for me.
Nice. I like it. PFF graded them a B minus, and New Orleans Saints graded them a B plus. So I'm right in the middle of these guys.
Saints graded them a B plus?
The NFL.com. NFL.com graded them a B plus. So
that's surprising that PFF is lower on one that we're higher on, and we're lower on ones that they're higher on. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are done talking about the Saints. The next team on the agenda, which we are doing really good. We're under the hour mark, and we have one more team. So, this is going to be a shorter episode. Let's wrap this one up. All right. The next team we got on the list is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. I actually really like their draft too. There's some players on here that I really enjoyed watching. And I guess we got nothing better to do but get into it, dude.
Let's do it. All right. With their first pick in the first round, they go Kalijah Kancey. And this dude's a beast. This dude is an athletic monster. And
yes, sir.
He is comped to Aaron Donald, not just because they both played at Pitt, because they're around the same size, 6 foot, like 280-ish. If you watch his tape, he may not be the absolute best run defender, but he is one of the best interior pass rushers I've seen in a while, especially for his size. Like, he's not even the tallest, but his play strength is incredible for size. Like, you can see him just bulldozing centers and guards. I like this pick a lot. I think that he's going to be an immediate impact player, and I think that he'll be a good rotational piece.
Yeah, I mean, they have a solid D-line already, unless they got rid of. I need to look at their freaking depth chart, but I believe they still have a solid D-line. Unless wasn't a lot of players like leaving because Brady left. Do you remember?
Yeah, probably, and plus cap situation and everything.
Yeah, they still got Shaquille Barrett, Vita Vea. Okay, so they got some good players on the D line still. So yeah, this guy can definitely learn from Vita. I think he's gonna eat. He's very thick, very solid, very powerful. So yeah, I like this pick a lot. I don't really see. Maybe I kind of see the Aaron Donald. I don't know. Aaron Donald is just like one of one to me.
It's hard to compare anyone to
Yeah.
Aaron Donald. I think it's just mostly because of the size, the school, stuff like that. But I can see similarities. I don't think he's anywhere near Aaron Donald like skill level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he has the potential to be close because the dude is a beast. Like he is an absolute monster.
Yeah. And hopefully he is a beast on that D line.
Mm-hmm.
Their next pick. It's funny because I kept seeing this dude like on random videos, and I'm like, oh, they actually drafted this dude. But Cody Mauch, I don't know, Mauch out of North Dakota State. He's an offensive guard. I think he played tackle, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
And he looks solid, for playing. Was it Division Two? Is it Division
he plays
Two?
in the FCS because he's at North Dakota State.
Yeah,
dude looks like he plays hockey with those two front teeth missing, but I respect it.
Yeah, he looks like a savage, and he looked good on tape. But again, it's Division Two FCS, whatever you want to say. It's lesser talent, so hopefully he's a big dude, 6'6", 303. Hopefully he can translate to the NFL. I like his personality. I think he looks pretty funny. I think he would fit it right in on that line. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about him.
Yeah, I think you're banking on a lot of his athletic tool set because he is athletic, don't get me wrong, for his size. And he plays with some aggressiveness. Like there's definitely some aggressiveness. You'll see him like driving players until the end of the whistle. He's good in the run game, but this is, this is Division Two. But I do like his aggressiveness and his motor.
If you guys haven't, go watch this guy's tape. There's a play where he blocked a linebacker or a DB for like 30 or 40 yards and blocked him out of bounds. I was like, bruh, I like it.
It's cool.
I like it. It was like that Blindside movie. Michael Orr.
Exactly. Michael Orr, baby. Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been looking for some pieces on that offensive line, so I like the pick. This next pick I really like.
I do too. I think this dude's an athletic freak, honestly.
They don't even have him on PFF. That's disrespectful. But they got Yaya Diaby out of Louisville, and this guy is he's an athlete, man. He's a disruptor, and he's gonna fit in. I think he's kind of actually. Now I think about it, speaking of the Bucks, he reminds me of Jason Pierre-Paul a little bit, and I think he comes in and starts. Honestly, I liked what I saw from him. What do you think, Dane?
I love what I see from Yaya Diaby. I just think the reason he fell a little bit is because of the production. But if you see him like get after the passer, he does not stop. He's got a high motor. I will say, though, that sometimes he plays patty cake with offensive tackles. But in the run game, I think that there's a lot to build off of with him. His sack production in total wasn't the best in his college career, but I think if he develops some pass rushing moves a little bit more than what he has, I think that he'll be really good because his athletic tools are off the charts. So I like this pick, especially getting him in the third round? Yes, third round.
Yeah. All right. This next pick, not on PFF either. Disrespectful. But we got Pittsburgh linebacker Savorcier Dennis. Honestly, this guy looks like a blitz specialist. I didn't really see a whole lot in run game. I didn't see him pass protection. No, what's it called? Dropping back. dropping back in coverage like
Oh.
at all. I'm sure he can, but I really only saw him blitzing. But he looks fast. He looks quick, violent. Maybe a little undersized. I'd have to look at his stats, but he looked a little bit small. But honestly, like the way the NFL is going with today's linebackers, he's probably like the perfect linebacker right now. He's 6 foot, 226. So yeah, he's it's right about the that new hybrid linebacker. But yeah, I mean, I think they still have their Levante David, and Devin White. I know they wanted. I think they were talking about leaving. I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. But this guy can learn from them for sure. They're some of the best linebackers in the game. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I just think it's kind of more of a depth piece, rotational kind of thing.
Yeah,
Blitz
I think
packages.
he is a good blitzer. I think that he's going to be a special team monster. I mean, I think that he's a great tackler first and foremost. The only thing that I worry about him is man coverage, especially if he's going up against a running back. Sometimes offensive tackles or guards that pull on him, they can get the better of him. I think that he needs to do a better job of shedding blockers. Sometimes he's a little bit too aggressive in his pursuit and can over pursue a running back and then gets, they just make a cut move and just get right past him. So I think that a lot of it's just technique and learning the game a little bit more at the NFL level. And I think he'll be solid, but I think he'll be a special teams beast.
All right. This next pick, they don't even have him. Jesus. All right, this next pick,
Durham.
Payne Durham, one of the coolest names you'll see for a tight end. You know what? I'm just gonna stop sharing this because what's the point? You guys can look at our beautiful faces, but I like this pick. I think he's pretty athletic. He kind of reminded me of George Kittle, Rob Gronkowski kind of bit, just rumbling and bumbling down the field. There's a play I watched where he dragged defenders for like 10 yards. And
yeah,
I think he got stopped at the 1 yard line, but he dragged them. They were on his back. They were trying to pull him. He's a big dude. Whoever the quarterback, well, I guess it's going to be Baker for probably 3 games, but he's going to have a weapon to throw to. He's 6'6", 253. Runs a 4.8, not super crazy fast, but I think he's a big dude who can contribute in the passing game. So I do actually like this pick.
I like this pick a lot for where they got him. I think that there's a lot of upside potential with Payne Durham. Like you already touched on, he is pretty decent with yards after contact. I think that he can carry people. He's got the play strength. I just wish that sometimes he played as big as he is. I feel like he could moss people so easily, but he doesn't have the most athletic tools when it comes to like jumping. So white man can't jump. That's Payne Durham. Like, he's not the best jumper or contested catcher for as big as he is. I think that if he works on that aspect of his game, he'll be a monster because he's not the fastest, but he could definitely work on some explosive drills, getting those legs ready.
Mm-hmm. This next pick, I think, is probably one of my favorite of the Tampa Bay Bucks draft. Josh Hayes out of Kansas State. Dude, this guy's a beast. I think they might have gone. I think this might have been like their best late round draft pick, in my opinion. Man, I'm trying to think. I know I loved him. I'm trying to think what stood out to me. You talk. Let me think, Dane.
So when it comes to Kansas State, I'm trying to. Oh my God. What was the name of their other cornerback who got taken in the first round? I'm trying to remember. Oh my God. Why can I not remember his name? But hold on. Let me look this up really quick because I want to be accurate with what I'm talking about. Jesus Christ. Whatever. It'll come to me. this was the other man when it came to the cornerback room. Once I
Mm-hmm.
remember the name of their number one cornerback or their defensive back, and I know people who are listening to this are probably like, you fucking idiot, it's this name. But I liked him. I think that he's good in man coverage. I think that he's good at breaking on the passes, getting those hands in places where they need to be to disrupt the play. I think that he's a decent tackler. I think that he could work on it a little bit, but he's got the ability to play in the slot or at safety. I think that he's got the versatility. He's definitely going to be a special team player, and he's got good speed for man coverage duty. So I like him. I think that maybe he could just build on his frame a little bit, kind of girth out a little bit. But yeah.
All right. This next pick, I will actually show you guys on the PFF BS, but Trey Palmer out of Nebraska. This guy's the definition of a deep threat, honestly. All I saw was him going 50 yards down the field and catching bombs and getting touchdowns. I really didn't see him do much else. Actually, I don't think.
Brents, there we go. Jesus Christ, that was the name of the other cornerback. Sorry to cut you off.
There we go, guys. Julius Brents. But Trey Palmer, yeah, he's a deep threat. He's going to a really good wide receiver room. I think, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think they can do all the other stuff and just let this dude go out and burn until he learns. So I kind of like this pick, honestly.
Yeah, I think this just opens up another avenue for the Tampa Bay aerial attack. Because, I mean, you got your contested catcher in Mike Evans. You got your somewhat yak yard. You can utilize him in the slot, Chris Godwin, when you want to. And then you have your deep threat, your just absolute burner. If Tom Brady was still there, I think that this would have been a great weapon for him. Baker can make the throw, but Baker's too inconsistent. I think Tampa Bay is going to have to invest next year in an actual legitimate quarterback to utilize the wide receiver core that it has. Because like you said, they have a good wide receiver core. And Trey Palmer is a burner, 4.33 speed at 6 foot. That's good.
Yeah. I can honestly see them somewhat tanking this year.
I could see it too.
Caleb Williams.
Dude, whoever...
I don't hate it. I don't hate it to the Bucks, honestly.
It's funny because I actually talked to Erica about the Cardinals. If they tank and they get the first overall pick, they might take Caleb Williams and get rid of Kyler. I think that would be interesting.
He still has a fat contract, though.
Fuck that, dude. Get out of the contract. Caleb Williams, bro.
Like $80 million in dead money. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that.
Unless they can trade him and someone take on some of the cap.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know if a whole lot of teams are going to want to do that. But anyways, that is Trey Palmer. And that is the last player because I doubt. Oh wow, they actually do have. Okay, what the?
How do they have Jose Ramirez in here, but they don't have?
Dog, how are you gonna have the other? You didn't even have Yaya on here, right?
I know,
yeah, they didn't have
crazy.
Yaya. They didn't have the last four players, the last four players besides Trey. Holy wow! All right, Jose Ramirez, Eastern Michigan edge. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of tape, but he's going to a good D-line room, so good depth. I like it.
Yeah, I think that he's got. I think that it'll be utilized as a rotational piece. You can actually utilize him in coverage a little bit too, which is kind of interesting because 6'2", 242 pounds. He's pretty light to be an edge. You kind of see him more as like an outside linebacker, like traditional role, I think sometimes. But yeah, he's actually decent in coverage, and it's interesting because he's also pretty good. Like rushing the passer. I think in the last 2 seasons he had 18 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. So,
oh yeah. So what do you give their draft, Dane?
Ooh. Tampa Bay, I'm probably gonna give it a C+ to a B-.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Because for me, I like their first 3 picks a lot. Not a lot, but I do like their first 3 picks. I'm not really sure about the Cody Mouch one. but I don't hate it. We'll just have to see what he does. The Savoursier one, I don't really know. Payne Durham, I think he can contribute. I think Josh Hayes can contribute. I think Trey Palmer
I think Trey
will
Palmer
contribute.
was like my favorite late round pick.
I think there's really only like 2 picks out of here that I'm not sure about. I'm not that low. I'm gonna give it a B. I think it's pretty solid. I thought it was a solid draft. So you're giving it a what? What's the final answer?
I'll give it a B minus. I'll be a little bit more grateful for the picks that they do have, because I do like some of the players that they drafted. It wasn't like one that like blew me away by any means. Like they had, I think, 2 players that I think are going to be like immediate impact or have the potential to be. Other than that, I think that a lot of it's going to be project players. So that's why I'm a little bit lower on it.
Okay. God damn it. I freaking deleted it, but I'm pretty sure PFF graded it at a B plus. No. They gave them an A minus.
What?
Yeah, they gave him an A minus. You know what? Let me just look it up real quick. I don't want to give you guys some false damn information. I mean, we have been known to do that, but NFL.com gave them an A.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, so we aren't as high as that. And PFF gave so PFF gave them an A minus as well.
I am not that high. Dude, it's fine. I will disagree with PFF. They're professionals. I'm not.
I think they just see I don't know. I don't know why they were so high on it, but they graded Kalijah Kancey as very good, Cody Mauch as good, Yaya Diaby as average, Savoursier Dennis as average, Payne Durham average, Josh Hayes below average, Trey Palmer good, Jose Ramirez as above average. I honestly don't know why it's an A minus. Maybe it's just because they got a lot of depth and 2 or 3 starters. Maybe 3 or 4 starters. So maybe I could see that why they got A minus.
And everyone's grading scales are slightly different. So
yeah, exactly. So so we are both lower than those platforms. How would you rank these teams in order?
I gave the Carolina Panthers a B minus, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going Carolina at 4. I'm going Tampa Bay at 3. I'm going Atlanta 2, and then Saints 1.
All right. For me, I'm going Panthers at 4. I'm going Falcons at 3. I'm going Bucks at 2. And I'm going Saints at 1.
All right. I like it. And
just 2 teams switched.
Yeah, not bad. Jake and I were actually pretty similar with our grades this episode. Usually we're a little bit off, but I like it. Guys, that's going to do it. We actually finished under the hour and a half mark, still a little bit over an hour. So hopefully you guys listen to this. If you guys aren't already, follow us on our Instagram right here at Cannonballs with a Z _podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, share us, try and help this channel grow. Jake and I do put in a lot of work when we are available. We do both work full time, so bear with us. But yeah, guys, we enjoyed doing this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I noticed that Jake's already got pretty much the background up, and I got the Tampa Bay Bucks up, but
yes,
it is what it is.
Season's almost here. Again, watch your team's highlights or players' highlights just so you can know who they are. Man, the season is fast approaching, so be ready, guys, because it's going to hit us like a train. If you're a wife or a partner that doesn't watch football, be ready because it's coming. All right, thank you for listening, and as always, peace.